Today I'll be making 3 afternoon tart-like recipes, beginning with the crostini. Get a baguette and thinly slice it. What's great about making crostini is that you get to customize them however you like. You can add vegetables, any kind of fruit, cheese, deli meat, smoked salmon, and it makes a fancy appetizer as well. And then I'm going to brush some olive oil on both sides of the baguette slices. Grill them on medium for 5 minutes until they become golden but not too brown. So I'm starting off with one of the bases of the crostini, which is this cheese pied d'Anglois. Here I'm taking a quarter of it to bake later on. It's also a cheese relative from French camembert cheese, and it has a creamy texture inside. Quite salty too. Creamy! I found these lovely capella vine tomatoes and I really liked their color, so I thought I'd use them as one of the toppings for the crostini. I mixed them with olive oil, a pinch of salt and pepper. And then I peeled a butternut squash and chopped them into small pieces. Alrighty, I'm going to bake the tomatoes and the chopped butternut squash for 20 minutes and the pied d'Anglois for 5 minutes. Both at 170 degrees Celsius. Look at how creamy this pied d'Anglois is. And this is such a level up because these are fresh walnuts, and I just cracked them and then chopped them into small pieces. But they add a nice crunch to the crostini as well. Also, they have a lighter golden color. Some green olives chopped into small pieces. They had seeds inside, so I had to twist them open and then chop them. Cutting up some fresh basil. Now I bought this smoked salmon, and I started slicing them up into smaller slices. Some dried apricots from the grape tree, chopped into smaller pieces as well. These will add some nice sweetness too. Here I'm just assembling all the other ingredients, so the olives, walnuts, roasted butternut squash, and this is our other cheese base, which is plain cream cheese. And this is how the baguette slices are supposed to look like after grilling, so they're golden brown. For the first crostini, I'm having the cream cheese as a base, and then topped with smoked salmon, dried apricots, and some fresh basil. And then for the second type of crostini, I'm starting with a pied d'Anglois base, topped with roasted capella vine tomatoes, and some fresh basil. Lastly, for the third type of crostini, we're having a pied d'Anglois base, roasted butternut squash, walnuts, green olives, and fresh basil. And here's some improvisation action going with the other types of crostini, just mixing around with the remaining ingredients. Here we have it, all the crostini are topped. For the final touch, I'm adding some balsamic vinegar on top of all of the crostini. Ooh, and look at that drizzle! For the first crostini, the sweetness from the apricots balanced the flavors with the saltiness of the smoked salmon. I'd say don't go ham on the cream cheese so that it doesn't overwhelm all of the flavors in this crostini. These tomatoes were surprisingly sweet, and it was a great contrast beside the saltiness of the pied d'Anglois. The butternut squash was sweet, and I'd say the walnuts brought in more crunch to this crostini. There we have it! So beautiful! I thought I'd take them out to the garden because of the good lighting at this time of the day. Let's appreciate these crostini. Here's my version of the crostini, and I hope you share your ideas. And now it's time for some snacks. I thought I'd take a break with some of these red corn puffs from Marks & Spencer's. They are great. Really great. Crunchy, and a nice little jam in the middle. had them with some green tea as well. On to the second recipe. I found these vol-au-vents in the freezer and I thought I'd make use of them. Yep, now I'm taking them out here. Packaging says to place them 2.5 cm apart to avoid them from sticking together as they expand as well. And look at these starry things. I don't know what they are. I'm just going to put them in a separate tray for now. It says that you can spread milk on them, so that's what I had, and I am spreading milk on all of these vol-au-vents. You can also use oil, a beaten egg, melted butter. Now I'm just laying out the second batch of these vol-au-vents because I couldn't fit all of them in one tray. Brushing some more of these with milk, so I'm just reading the instructions and I later have to bake them for 13 to 15 minutes at a preheated oven at 220 degrees Celsius. Alright, time to bake and wait till the next part because they're going to rise up. Oh wow, look at them, how puffy, they've risen. And then the packaging says to flip them over halfway. So this is what I'm doing. I guess this makes them bake evenly. Right, so I'm mixing some rapeseed oil to roast these capella tomatoes. I roasted them until they became soft, so I think that took about 10 minutes in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. And then I'm preparing some corn to steam. I didn't have original ideas, so I just looked at the packaging pictures, and one of the ideas was tuna with corn. So yep, I'm mixing some cream cheese and tuna later on with the corn. Alrighty, the vol-au-vents are baked. So first I'm basting them with some cream cheese. Followed by some steamed corn and tuna. For some of the other vol-au-vents, instead I topped them with the roasted capella toms. And these little vol-au-vents, they're so cute, they look like stars. I'm just going to add them at the side. Sprinkling some dried parsley. Look at these boos, we're almost done. Well, I thought I was missing a bit of a final touch for the overall sauce thing that binds everything together. So I ended up drizzling some balsamic vinegar. I thought it'd give a nice finishing touch. Voila! I was surprised that this actually tasted not bad, considering this was totally unplanned. The balsamic vinegar really did the trick, as it really balanced out all the flavors. It was great, with the cream cheese and the tuna, corn, sweetness, and I took advantage of the nice lighting here, so I thought I'd show you. On to the last recipe, which is this persimmon and pecan tart for a tarty afternoon. So I got this butter puff pastry from Marks & Spencer's. We're going to use some persimmons because it was in season in January, which was when this was filmed. I started off with peeling the skin off of the persimmons, and then I sliced them, and then wow, they look like they have flowers on top of them. Pretty persimmons! I'll say bye to these for a while. For the base, I'm using some pied d'Anglois as the cheese. Yep, creamy as you can see, wow. Laying some baking paper on a baking tray, and then I'm laying the butter puff pastry flat. Thought I'd give them a little poke to see if there was any difference between the classic puff pastry. Then tear pieces of the pied d'Anglois and lay them flat all over on the pastry. While we put these persimmons on top of the pied d'Anglois, this will officially be a persimmon tart. Then I dipped my brush with some rapeseed oil and spread it along, well, actually all over, especially the edges, but a little bit on top of the persimmons as well. These look ready to bake, so I'm going to pop them in the oven soon. While I almost forgot, I was meant to add the pecans in. Alright, that's the 5th thing that we have to add. And then bake it for 20 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius. Then I'm slicing them up with a pizza cutter. This is really handy. And look at how golden this is when it's baked. And tip, if you were using classic puff pastry instead of butter puff pastry, these will take longer to bake, so I would recommend baking the classic puff pastry for 10 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius, and then layering them with the toppings and baking them for 20 minutes. I really like how they look golden and the persimmon being a bit hardened up as well. When the pecans are roasted, they just smell a whole lot different. They weren't too hard, they were quite soft in the inside as well. The pied d'Anglois really gave it a natural savouriness beside the sweet persimmons and the butter puff pastry. A fruity, nutty and savoury tart ready in 30 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!